This conference will now be recorded.
Hello. Hey guys, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning,
How's
sir.
Good
the
morning,
fun?
sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How's the things are happening this?
Everything is going okay.
At
We
home?
can.
Okay. Crazy man. Indian people can't understand the situation. Government says don't come outside, but still the people are, I don't know what's wrong actually. They should listen to things for at least 2 weeks. Now here
People
is a
are
complete.
over smart, sir.
Yeah. Here is
They won't
here, here is completely scheduled. Like one circular, if you issued from the government, even though in the night 8 o'clock we have a mobile alert, don't come anyone on the road, some cleaning stuff is happening and you are going to block. That's like, crazy things. People has to be understand if the third stage is enter, it's completely, disaster. 130 crores people are there, easily they should understand the situation, what Italy is doing, what US is facing the issues. Okay, anyway, stay home, stay safe. That is only
Yeah.
the thing can we do now. Until the medicines will come or until the proper vaccination will come, this is only the things can happen. Okay, let's start continuation of yesterday session. So yesterday session we was discussing about the basic mobile development strategies, why the businesses or any kind of companies want to do their mobile apps. So any kind of business they want to do a mobile app because for the better conversion rate, to give the more use cases or more flexible to the end user to get it and done the things properly. And we are discussing about the two major applications, like one is a travel and tourism and another was a e-commerce. So in travel and tourism, in the sense, it can be the bookings of holidays booking, or it can be the part of the travel booking, like that. Depends on the things. It will be managed, depends on the application. But in travel and tourism, entire application, a single application can provide multiple option. Everything you can get in the single application itself. Okay, and the e-commerce is the top applications, and in the e-commerce also different data we have to provide. So on e-commerce we are discussing some advanced levels things about the content system. So the continuation of that one, we are discussing about Amazon app. So when we open the Amazon app in India, the left side image here, this is a web, and this is belongs to the Indian, and whereas this is belongs to UAE. But both applications are same, apps are same, versions are same, content is not changed, it doesn't differ. But if you see here, a banner is there, and here is some options are provided, and here is some image module. These are basically image modules. And if you see in the UAE app, here they have something like, and here is a banners, and there is, if you seen this particular specific things, they have somewhat multiple options. And here, like, and here in the bottom there is a toolbar. So without apps, app is not changed, app code is same, but the contents are dynamically changing, depends on. This is was one of the example we took. And the next one I was given the Namshi application itself here also. So same thing, different contents dynamically it's changing. So what is this particular thing? How this content is changing without release? That was a question, and someone is answered that API. That's a partial. But this enter in e-commerce, especially this kind of things having some specific topics actually. So whenever the e-commerce application they are going to design e-commerce, in the sense like selling the stuff very fastly, so they want to promote their application very fastly. So this kind of behavior in e-commerce we are going to call as a configuration driven mobile apps. So these are going to call as configuration driven mobile apps. So configuration driven mobile apps means what? How these mobile apps will be work? What is the strategy of configuration driven mobile app? What is the flow? Who providing the data? From where the data will comes? In order to get the data, what client will provide? So these all information we will discuss in this one. Let's dig into this topic. So what is the configuration mobile based development means? App configuration API or launch setting API. So the mean is that whenever you are going to launch the application or when you are going to start your application, you need some information that what to show, what not to show, how the content need to be displayed on the screen. These all things are going to provided by this one. So how this particular app configuration API or launch setting API will be work? For example, left hand side you have a mobile, we are going to call as a client. Right hand side has a server, we are going to call as a content provider. So whenever an application is launched, application will be request something to the server. So there are only two things, one is a client, one is a server. Client in the sense consider as a mobile app, and the server in the sense CMS, content management system, or the content provider mechanism. So what's going to happen behind of this one? Whenever you launch a Flipkart app, whenever you launch the Amazon app, or whenever you launch any kind of application, it will send some particular information to the server. So I'm launched, what should I do? That means whenever I'm going to launch the application, I will send some information to the server. What is that? Local. Local in the sense either it is launched from India, either it's launched from UAE, it's launched from the Australia, or like local in the sense country. So from which country this application is launched? Because Amazon is a worldwide, Namshi also is a worldwide. Like some of the specific e-commerce applications are the worldwide. So whenever the application is targeting the worldwide people, then we have to send what is a local, because yesterday also we discussed in earlier session localization app. So some people will like to read English, some people will like to read Chinese, some people read what is that Arabic, or someone French, like different languages. So this local is very important to us, that which is the country, source country, launching source country, from where this application is launched, and the second parameter language. See, if I am the Chinese user, I'm using the iPhone or Android phone. I don't want to use English, right? Whenever I'm going to use a Chinese, I mean, if I am the Chinese person, I don't want to use English. I will use my mobile app, or my mobile setting language is China. Like what we are doing in India also, different state people will be do the different kind of languages, similar kind of thing. Local will be set, language will be set, app version, etc. That means some additional information like header, launch time, some hash code, some additional information. So whenever the application is going to launch, from the application side, we are sending some information to the server that now this is my local, I am launching from the UAE, my language is Arabic, my app version is some XYZ, what I want to get. That means what I want to display on the screen at the time of launching. Then my server will respond, oh, this is your provided data. Now get this particular information. Now render yourself. Like yesterday, I was connected the device. So when I launched, by default, it was showing Indian because that account is linked with the Indian account. I'm using my Indian mobile number. So whenever I'm launching the application, Indian content was there. But when I switch the country from the UAE to English, then automatically content is changed. This is a high-end behavior. So when application is launched, you send some information, send to your server, send to your CMS system, and your CMS system will tell that, oh, this is the content you want to render because you are from this specific local, this language, right? Any doubt in this part?
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Next, what's going to happen in next step? So here, okay, it looks like good. It likes like, okay, I'm sending this information, it is providing some data, but who is doing the back end work? What is the thing? Someone has a doubt? Okay, fine. So see that. So the question was raised here. Everything was fine, but who providing the data? I am providing the local and the language, but in the server, how the server will identify from where the data is getting to the server. So for this one, what's going to happen? So servers read the data from the file. I will show you some. So left hand side, right hand side, this one. So what's going to happen here? Whenever you requested some information to the server have some specific files. Like whenever I got a request from the India, I want to show the information from India. Whenever I got the data from the UAE, or whenever the application is launched from US, whenever the application is launched from somewhere else, so that specific information we are going to capture in the file system. So what is this file system? This file system can be XML format, JSON format, or AML format. Maximum people will be use JSON or AML. Okay, so once application is started, application is asking the information to the server, and the server is reading the data from the file. That file is nothing but it's a raw data which have to display on the screen. So it can be the XML format, it can be the JSON format, or it can be the any other format whatever they want to support in the CMS system. Okay, up to here this is fine. But who is managing this particular file? How this particular file is going to happen? So managers can update this file from a portal. So the finally, how it works means mobile app will ask the information to the server. Server will send the data to file. I mean, server will ask the data to the file, and there is a web app or the update data, and here is a manager. So the finally the work mechanism is that application manager or the app managers will provide some specific information to their portal in the form of XML, JSON, or AML files. So every project has a project managers. Every project, like small scale of application, will be have only one manager, but whereas a big scale applications have the many managers. For example, in my application, we have 8 managers. Imagine 8 managers in the sense how much of work they are going to do. So these complete application managers or the content managers, especially the PMs, project manager, always try to update the data from their end. So there is a just if you go to here, this is a simple web app. This is only the simple web app. So they will open it like a simple website. They will open a simple website and they will write the data whatever they need. And once the data is ready, then they will save in the specific format. So maybe the ML or maybe the XML or maybe the JSON, and they will host into the server. So whenever your mobile client will send a request, whenever this mobile client is sends a request to the server with the specific information, says that this is a local, this is a language, this is a app version, bring the data for me. Then the server depends on the condition, reads the file. Don't think it is a single file. Here is a multiple files will be exist. So client sending the request to the server knows which file has to be read from the portal, pick the data and send that particular data back to the application. So once we receive the data back to the application, then application is automatically renders the data according to the requirement. This is exactly the typical e-commerce applications will work. So whenever you are going to consider any e-commerce application, those all are works on a config driven development. Config driven development in the sense, before launching the application or before showing something to the user, it will get the data from the backend. So before displaying some information to the end user, it will get the data from the backend. According to the backend provided information, it is going to render. So how entire flow is going to work means, from the business point of view, app managers will try to open the portals, or they are going to write the content in the portal. Portal will render the file systems data and host into the server. That's it. So from the manager point of view, they will monitor everything what they want to display, what they want to run, what promo they want to show, what modules they want to show. Everything will be set up in the file in the form of JSON or XML or YAML file. So from application point of view, when application is launched, send the request to the server in the form of local language and required information. Server knows the condition, server knows which file has to be read, and it will read that corresponding file only. From that file it will pick the data. Once it will pick the data, then according to that picked information or according to the proper information, UI will be rendered. This is called config driven development. All e-commerce application will work on same condition. So at the time of launching, sends the data, gets the data, dynamically depends on the local language, and it will render that particular information. Not only the content, they can manage any kind of features also. For example, in India, we have so many payment providers, right? So many payment provider means we have a Google Pay, we have a Paytm, we have the mobile banking, we have, like, let's say in the recent cases, I think last 2 weeks back, Citibank one day was transaction completely stopped. So in that particular case, don't think that, okay, they stop the transaction or the bank is blocked for the transaction and those bank dependent all application doesn't work. That is doesn't make sense. So what's going to happen here? For example, I'm using a payment provider like Paytm in my mobile app. Let's consider an example. If I am using a Paytm, if I am using a Paytm provider, or if I am going to use a payment provider, let's say I'm using the Paytm. Somehow this Paytm gateway is a down. Somehow if the Paytm gateway is a down, it doesn't make sense to my user that they can't place a order. If they are not going to place the order, then what's going to happen? My business gets the down. What I can do now with this particular setting, what I will do here, okay, Paytm is not working for now. Now disable the Paytm payment. Simple, straightforward. Just open the portal, write down a condition that Paytm is down. Now no more Paytm providers will be transferred. That means when I will say, okay, there is no Paytm, then simply my application doesn't show Paytm. That's it. So there is no need release, there is no need to update the app. On spot, within the minutes, everything will be recorded. This is the best one of the advantages of this particular applications. Now move to the next one. So I hope so everything is clear according to the flow. So it's a simple state forward logic in e-commerce application. So e-commerce application will work on the config driven development. If you go back to the slides, so this is going to call as config driven mobile app. Application will ask to the server with the specific information, local language app version. This is my input. I want to get the data. Now simply server will get the information. So at the time of launching, it will knows what data I want to provide. According to the data will get back. Now, who is going to provide the content in the sense? Server will read the data from the files. And who is going to config this file means this is the complete picture. App managers will be update the files according to the files. Hosted server will be get the information and the mobile will automatically render. So the advantage, see this one. Yeah, so we were discussing about some payment provider. For example, what could be the best example for you guys? Let's say version 1. In version 1, I want to use something new concept. Let's say I was introduced a promo, 10% off on mobiles. Okay. And in the V2 version, I will say 20% off on groceries. Okay. And in the V3 version, I will say, okay, something like 5000K off on mobiles. Maybe this kind of things you will observe in Flipkart actually. This kind of stuff. So when the Flipkart will go with the sales, bonanza sales actually, how they will do actually? They have a configuration files like, okay, my sales will start midnight 12 o'clock. This is a state away logic. So Flipkart will runs, or Flipkart Amazon will run special promo offers midnight 12 o'clock or next 1 hour, next 2 hours like that. So this is a basic logic from the backend point of view. This app managers will set the different kind of configuration files, version 1, version 2, version 3. Okay, so in version 1 they will say okay, 10% off on everything. In version 2 they will say 20% off on everything, and version 3 they will say okay, 5000 off on the mobile straight away. So that means at the time of working hours they will set these all things, version 1, version 2, version 3, whatever they want to run, they will set it. Then let's say my application is using from like I can say okay, it's like 6 to 8 p.m. So in between this particular time, those applications are launched. In between this particular time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., who whoever they launch the application, they application will get V1 configuration. And this V1 configuration will provide what? Only 10% off. So this is my promo time. I'm running a promotion from 6 to 8 p.m. I will already set this promotion. In this particular promotion, whoever launching the application, they will go to the V1 configuration and they will get the straight away 10% off promo. Once after 8 p.m., let's say I'm running from 8 to midnight 12:00. So in this particular case, whoever launching the application, they will get this configuration data. So don't consider only this percentage. It can be the random. Okay, like okay, 10% on this specific product, 20% on this specific product, 5000K for this particular mobile. Like dynamically they are going to change. So let's say it's a final case, midnight 00:02, next midnight say like 3 o'clock. Whoever using the application, they are going to get application pt. So don't consider this particular app manager are sitting in the background in midnight they are doing the work. This is completely config. They set up the configuration and they will render the information according to that one automatically. Okay, so 6 to 8 was running a 10% promo. 8 to 12 they are running was a 20%, and over midnight 3 up to midnight 3 to 3 a.m. they are starting 5000K off on the mobile. So these are the behavior. So dynamically how this kind of Flipkart, Amazon guys will work means at midnight time they will set up these all information and no one will be there in the background and they will work. But here is one business strategy also there. For example, what is a business strategy means, let's say I'm running a promo of 20% on the version 2, then I was seeing that okay, there are no orders actually. Okay, there are, I mean, I can follow the trend. Whenever I am running the promo for this particular 4 hours, my setup target will be there, right? Okay, this many orders I am expecting in this particular promo, or this much revenue I'm expecting. So in the business point of view, what they will do actually, in this particular time, they will monitor how many orders we receive, what is the revenue of that particular order. Okay, there is a plan A. So if the plan A is working fine, they will keep this one for the next few minutes or next few hours. Okay, then all of a sudden they say that okay, whatever the 20% we are running, it doesn't work, then immediately they can change this configuration to something else. Like in place of 20%, they can say 25% or they can say 30%. So instantly the configuration file will be changed and that promo will be run automatically. Right. So in the business point of view, I can keep one eye on my business, how the business is happening, what was my expected trend, or what was my expected goal, I'm reaching my goal or not, everything will be works on this one. So this is a basic typical e-commerce companies are going to do with this particular trends. Okay. So this is a behavior. Different versions have the different content. According to that one, it will work. Then move to the next one. So what is the advantage if it is a config driven development? Releases for changes. Just now I discussed one point that I was running a promo, my business was not good. Instantly, I can change my strategy without releasing the app. I no need to release the app. My app is ready always in the store. Simply, I will change my configuration file, then automatically my application will be runs the data. This is one. And the second one is less stress release. That means, like, when the people are going to say, okay, I want to run a promo tomorrow, it's not like that, okay, you can't force your developer, oh, we have a release, try to do new application, try to launch the new application. You no need to worry about that one. Everything will be handled by the fingers. Just update, config, then fetch that. Then happy developers, happy managers. Why? As a developer, I don't want to do release for every single change. So today he will say, okay, show this one has a green color. Tomorrow he will say, okay, show this one has a text has a red color. So for the simple text also, like flash sale, I want to make a blinking property. So they will ask that, okay, this is a flash sale, make it blink. So as a developer, I don't want to develop something new again and launch the application. I will already config. Now if the config says blink this text, then automatically my application will be blink. So developer is happy and the manager also, they are happy what they want to do according to that one. So this is called config driven development. Any questions on this? Any questions?
No, sir.
All good?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now go to the next one. So types of mobile applications. Lot of people has a lot of things like I'm using iPhone, I'm using Android, I'm using something else. What is those all things? So normally whenever the people are going to consider what type of application they want to do or what kind of application they want to launch, this is a state away logic is that either it can be the native, either it can be the web, or it can be the hybrid mobile apps. Native mobile app, web, or hybrid. So what does means native, web, and hybrid and these things? So native application in the sense it works on those specific devices only, whereas web and hybrid in the sense it's a different kind of. Let's enter into this one. So native apps, web apps, hybrid apps. What does means by the native app? Native app is exactly render the proper binary code to the specific operating system. That means if I am designing a application for Apple, if I'm designing a application for the Apple, then whatever the binary is generated, that binary is compatible to only Apple devices, not other than that. If I am implementing a native or binary code for Android, then so if the binary is generated for the Android, then it will compatible to only Android devices. That is going to call as a native. So most popular devices going to use like Apple, Samsung, Huawei, or Oppo, or OnePlus. These all are what native specific. So what's going to happen in the native app? Whatever the binary you are going to generate, that binary is compatible to that specific operating system. Don't think about the hardware dependent here. Apple only the device which is compatible to their software and their hardware. Whereas in other partner like Android, if you consider, it's the open source. anyone can use. Hardware dependency will not there. So whenever you are targeting your users or the specific operating systems only, then native apps will be generated. So whenever you are developing a app for iOS, so whatever the native you are generating or whatever the binary code you are going to generate it, that binary code is specific to the Apple only. It doesn't work for the Android. So whenever you are implementing an app for Android, that will work for Android only. It's not going to work for the native. Then come to the second one. Web app is a typical website. It's a simple website. Okay, so this is a simple website, and this website is nothing but is a mobile compatible. Like yesterday I said, if you open this particular app in the desktop browser, then it will work like a normal website. Where you are going to work same website in the mobile browser, then it will give you what is that compact view, responsive thing. So it's a web app. And the final one is what? Hybrid. So hybrid is typical. So hybrid in the sense, whenever I'm generating the hybrid, code is a common code for both Apple and Android. For both, code is a common, but the problem is here you have to generate the different binary for both devices. For example, I will give you something like we are going to use a Cordova or React. So this code will be generated in the hybrid, like what language? Let's say HTML5. So if this code is implemented in HTML5 or React, so this code base is not gonna change. So if it's going to implement in the HTML5 or the React, this code base is not changed. Code is same for iOS, Android. But whenever you are going to compile or whenever you are going to generate the binary of that one, you have to compile that binary on the specific systems. For example, whatever the HTML5 or React based application was generated, if I compile this particular code on the Mac operating system, then it will generate the code for the Mac compatible. That means Apple devices. Same code, if I am going to compile on the Windows machine or Linux machine on the Android tool, then it will generate the Android binary code, which can be used for that one. So native app in the sense the binary whatever the generated, it is a compatible to specific operating systems only, and it is not going to support the cross platform. Whereas a web application in the sense it looks like a simple website, it can be the web browser or it can be the desktop browser. Anyone can access that one. You no need to worry about any kind of deployment, you no need to worry about any kind of app store some, right? Straight away it will work. Whereas a hybrid app in the sense it is completely different. It can be implemented based on the Cordova or HTML5 or React or some blah blah blah. So many languages are there. Whenever you are going to implement any hybrid application, whatever the binary is generated, that binary has to be specific. That means if I'm code base will be same for Android and iOS, code will not change. Code is same. Maximum 99% code will be same. That code generated binary will be changed depends on the OS. Let's say I want to deploy this particular hybrid app on the iOS devices, then I have to compile this code on the Mac system to generate the IPA file for Apple compatible devices. Same thing, same hybrid. If I want to go with Android, then I have to compile the Android devices, then it is going to implement according to this one. This is the basic structure of any kind of mobile apps. So native apps, web app or hybrid app. Web app doesn't going to consider as a mobile app. Web app is a simple website. It can be the compactive website, responsive website, or it can be the normal website, depends on the client. So if the client is requesting a normal desktop, it is a normal desktop, whereas client is requesting from mobile, then you will get a responsive view. Apart from that, nothing is going to happen. Okay, we will go internally and we'll check what are the things or what are the factors are there for this particular process. So we have three type of applications, maybe native app, maybe web app, maybe hybrid app. Then characteristics of native apps. When you consider the characteristics of native app, a binary executable image that explicitly downloaded and stored on the system for the mobile devices. For example, if you are using an iPhone, what's going to happen if you are using an iPhone? Simply you are going to download the file from the App Store. So if you are using the Android app, you will download that particular file from the Google Play Store. So if you are using hybrid application, still it has the IPA, still it has the APK, but the condition is what? At the time of generating the IPA or at the time of generating the APK file, we are compiled that particular code on that specific systems only. So corresponding binary will be generated from that particular store. Like Windows Mobile has a Windows Store, Apple Mobile has Apple Store, whereas a similar kind of Huawei also introduced their own store, Huawei Store, in upcoming days. Okay. Then the next one. Distributions. Whenever you are going to consider as a native app, distribution should be happen through their stores only. If you are generating a native app for the Apple, you have to distribute your Apple to the App Store only. That is iTunes true. So if you are implementing an Android app, that app has to be distributed through Google Play Store and executed directly by the operating system. Always the native application is faster than the remaining application, and it will execute it directly on operating system, because whatever the API we are going to use, that API directly interacting with the operating system in the native apps. Then launch it from the home screen. You will get icons. So with the icons you can launch. If it is a web browser, you have to launch the application from the website address bar, whereas a native application you can launch directly from the home screen. Then does not require any other continuation app. That means whenever I'm using some third-party application, I need some other apps. But if you are going to work on the native application, it will directly run on your operating system, much more smoother than the NAV. Then makes explicitly use of operating system API. This is the final goal of the native application. So native applications are going to distribute through their own stores, and it will execute the binary directly on operating system. It has to be launched from the home screen icons and does not require any additional software to run those applications. Those are going to call as what? Native applications. Then how the native application development will happen? It is a typical diagram. I will explain you in the details how it is going to work. So consider the native app development irrespective of thing. Don't consider I am teaching iOS, Android. Consider the overall native application, how it is going to work. So here is a software code. That means whatever the code you are going to implement, that code corresponding to your language. If it is iOS app, you will have iOS code. If you are Android app. So here is a source code. Here is a developer, and these are the resources. Like if you are using images, if you are using the font files, if you are using any file system, if you are using any resources, everything will goes here. So source code and resources, everything is there at the development point of view. Whatever the source code you are going to give, that source code is going to compile and link. Once the source code is compiled and linked, it will go to the SDK. SDK in the sense what? Software development kit, where we have all the API calls or all the methods what we are using. So your source code will compile and link. It will pass to the SDK. SDK will generate a binary file, and this binary file will be linked with the images. And once it is linked with the images, then it will create a what? Distributed package. So once the distributed package is constructed, then it can go to according to their store. If it is Apple, it will goes to the App Store. If it is a device, it will goes to the Play Store, Android based. If it is a Windows, it will goes to the Windows Store. If it is a BlackBerry, it goes to the BlackBerry. If it is a Huawei application, it will goes to the Huawei Store. This is a typical flow. You are going to construct the source code. You are going to manage the resources. Once your code is compiled, it is generated in the compiler and linker. It will goes to the SDK, and it will generate the package, and the package will be created distributed package, and through that particular distributed packages, automatically it is going to render the rest of things. Okay, now go to the specific things. how it's gonna work internally. Now consider our iOS app development. This is the flow what we discuss. Then what is the additional thing for iOS? Number one, the code whatever you are going to implement, the code will comes in the Shift or Objective C. Some of the times maybe C and C++ also, because we need some kind of kernel programming. It will work on the Shift. So whatever the source code you are going to construct, that source code will be there in the Shift or Objective C. It can be a Shift or Objective C. And the second one, whatever the tool we are going to use, it is a Xcode. So what I discussed in earlier slide, if you consider, source code will be there and the source code will be compiled and it will link and it will generate the binary. In a similar fashion, when you consider this one, you are going to write the code in Shift or Objective C, sometimes C and C++. That code will compile and link through Xcode. Okay, then it is going to generate a binary for the Xcode, and this one will goes to the App Store directly. Then, if you consider the Android development, same process. Now the code will be implemented in the Java or the Kotlin. Okay, the code will be implemented in the Java or Kotlin, and who is going to compile and link? In the sense, Android Studio will compile. So Android Studio is compiled and link the code. Once Android Studio is compiled and link the code, it is constructed executed binary, and that executed binary will be created a package, and that package will be created a distribution package. This is a basic flow of that particular Android application. So if it is iOS application, we will generate the application based on the simple strategy. We will use the basic language like Shift or Objective C, and Xcode will be compile the code for us, and Xcode will be generated the SDK packages, everything, and you can distribute to the App Store. Whereas in Android, the code is going to generated in the Java or Kotlin, and the Android Studio will compile and link the code. Then it will construct the SDK, and the package will goes to the Play Store, Google Play Store. This is a basic difference. Then what is the advantage of native versus web? So here, if you consider, multiple factors will become. So many people see there is no any specific thing that okay, I want to do with the native, I want to go with the hybrid, I want to go with the web. So this is completely purely depends on some factors. So you can't suggest to your client that you have to go for the native. You can't suggest your client to go with the web. You can't suggest your client to go to the hybrid app also, because it depends on lot of the factors. So it depends on those factors, client will decide what they need. For example, if you consider a native and the mobile or web. So if it is a native app, access is a full access. That means user can do anything, is a full access can be provided. But if it is a web, partial access. There is one drop. Speed. If you consider the performance of the application, native application always gives high performance of anything. Even though if you consider the hybrid application also, even though you consider the hybrid application also, this particular native application will give very fast access, whereas a web also gives a fast one, but you can't compare with what native application. Cost. In the point of cost, when you are designing a native application, it is expensive. It is expensive because you need to maintain a proper development team. For example, if I want to develop a native application for my business, I need two different teams. If I'm targeting only iOS and Android, I need two different teams. That means two different teams has to be pay the salary, and the two different teams has to be engaged. So it is no, it's like cost related thing. It is expensive when you compare with the rest of thing, but is a web is a reasonable. If it is a reasonable, okay, cost is reasonable, but revenue rate also reasonable. If you consider the yesterday's concept, the retail e-commerce behavior, when the web application is there, when the mobile application is there, always we are expecting the better revenue, better conversion rate when the native apps, when the mobile apps are there. So if you consider the cost of that particular development, it can be reasonable, but again the revenue also can be reasonable. So it is expensive, but you will get the more revenue from the native application. Then app stores. So this is available in the App Store. Like if it is a native app of iOS, it will available in the App Store. If it is a native app of Android, then it is available in the Google Play Store. But if it is a web, you no need to worry about what. If it is a web, it is not going to access on that particular. So you no need to store anything. It will directly address based. Like open the website www.somethingxyz.com. It is accessible. You no need to publish anything on the web. Then approval. If it is a native application, must and should approval will be there from the corresponding stores. If it is Apple, it will take hardly 3 days or 2 days to approve your application on the binary level, because security is very important. One of the concern which we discussed yesterday also. Whenever we are going to design a native app, security is very important. So in your native application, if you have some malwares running or some, like, because it's the e-commerce application or travel app, user will be enter the information, banking information or some secure information user going to enter, and some kind of applications will hack that information. If you are using any third party tools internally, maybe possibilities to hack that information and it will send. So what's going to happen when you are going to develop the native application, the store provider like Apple Store or the Google Play Store, they will scan the entire application flow, each binary code they will scan. Don't think manually it's going to scan. There are some automated scripts will be there. So whenever you are going to upload your app to the corresponding store, that automatic scripts will be run and it is going to scan your application. If there is nothing wrong in your application, then they are going to approve. Otherwise this application will be deleted. For example, in the recently past few days, you heard a news like Android, I mean Google Play Store is removing so many applications from the Google Play Store because they are breaking breaking the rules. That means breaking in the rules, it's not doesn't mean okay they are not following the rules. Breaking in the rules internally, the privacy, user privacy they are breaking. Maybe they are capturing some additional information from the user, or they are misusing the user information. That's why those applications will be deleted from the Play Stores or the Google stores. But before providing that one, initially they will scan the application, they will read your binary, then they are going to give the approval. But if it is a web application, you no need any kind of approval. Just design the website, host into server, and distribute the website URL to client, then it will work. But revenue rate is always lesser when you are consider about the web applications. So you no need any approval for this one. This is the basic behavior of this. Okay,
Balu,
then what we,
one
yes,
question. You will
yeah,
be covering even the web-based application in the iOS part?
sorry.
Will you be covering even the web-based applications?
What do you mean by the web-based application? That means just loading the URL, or you want to make a proper website like that?
Yeah, simple website which can work flawlessly in iOS. Those kind of things will you be covering in this?
Yeah, because we have the WebKit, right?
Okay.
See, you have it, let's say a simple example. I have a website, okay, but I don't want to design the app, mobile app. You got my point. I have a website, but I don't want to design a mobile app. I can hack it. How I can do? I can design a simple application and I will place a web browser, and web browser is launching that one. That means whenever my application is launched, directly it will goes to the web browser. So it is just the integration part. It's a matter of only 5 minutes.
Okay.
See, you you can design a purely native application, or you can misguide the user. It looks like a native application. If your
Okay.
website is a responsive website, and I don't want to design a complete native application, I can mislead the user. How I can mislead the user? I will start the development of native app, but in place of designing each module, I will take a single web browser and I will link my website address into the browser. User can't see the web browser address, but it's load the entire thing. So I can mislead the user, but it is very simple and state away logic. So yes, we have the web browser concepts. In the web browser also, we are going to show how to embed the websites into the mobile app directly. That is also we are going to cover.
Okay.
Okay. Now consider the next step. So these are something about fundamental things about the applications I was designed. But the next session onwards, we are going to start practicals. Practical in the sense, what next? Set up the operating system. Set up the operating system means don't go to the Apple store and buy the MacBook, okay? Just try to check your normal laptop, whatever the laptop is available. Don't use the mobiles from the next session because we are going to do the code. So don't try to join. I mean, you can join. See, what I can suggest actually, when we are doing the code, in place of, in place of doing the simultaneously code, you can join from one device. You can see the one code on one particular device and you can implement the code on another device. But in if your configuration of Mac OS, you will get multi-screens windows easily, sir. So this particular session, whatever you are going to see, you can minimize on the top of that one and you can write the code easily. You can manage, it doesn't matter. But don't try to join on the mobiles, try to join from the desktop. The first requirement is what? We need a setup operating system of Mac. So if you don't have the Apple laptop, don't worry. Try to outside is a lockdown, I think so. I'm not sure how it will be managed, but I will give some alternate also to you. So we need a proper machine with OS configuration, that is operating system, Mac operating system we need. So in order to get the Mac operating system, two ways: you can purchase the laptop directly, or if you have a Windows laptop, just make sure that you launch the VMware and install the OS X. I think some people or third party person, the software installation people, can be install the OS X, maybe 100 or 200 rupees they will charge. You can try with in market, or you can find out someone who can install this one, right? Second one, once operating system is ready, just download the DMG file, and through the DMG file you can install the DMG file. Just take the hard pen drive, I think 5 GB or 10 GB pen drive, install the Xcode and dump into your system. Xcode is ready. After that, we need a GitHub account. Maybe we are going to discuss GitHub related things later, but GitHub account in the sense is nothing but it's a host source code hosting tool. Actually, we are going to use, we are going to host our code on the server. So whenever you are going to do any application or you are stuck in something, we are doing some application or maybe you stuck somewhere, so you can say, okay sir, this is the thing I was struck now, try to do. So what I will do now, I will take the are you sure they are charging 3,000 for Mac operating system? I am not sure about that one. Try to check because right now I don't have any contacts in the Hyderabad to suggest you. Hackintosh. I think I can share some websites if it is possible. You can download, but it's a painful actually. Downloading the operating system, it's painful. But let's try to get the, I can't say everything is restricted, but we need this kind of things actually. Okay, set up operating system, install the Xcode, create a GitHub account, and create a Apple developer account. It's a free version. Don't create a paid version. 5,000 rupees I want to pay. Go with a free developer account and try to use GitHub and app. I mean to say, whatever the email ID you are using for the Apple developer account, same email ID, try to use the GitHub account. So easy to we can configuration and get ready for the coding. These are the things we need for the next session. So we need a proper operating system, we need a Xcode, we need a GitHub account, we need an Apple developer account, and get ready for coding. Then alternate, for example, sir, I don't have, I mean to say, now the people are crazy, they are not installing anything, means for few days we can manage. So for few days we can manage these things without installing. But the problem is that you have to code these things on the simple third-party websites. Basically, I'm going to start Swift actually, the basic fundamental concept. So in place of using the Xcode, you can use some websites also, third-party tools, but I'm not recommended. I'm saying that hard cases normally, but I'm expecting to get the Mac OS system setup and Xcode, because I want to explain you about the playgrounds. I want to explain you syntax highlighters. I want to explain you the basic things in the, basic things before doing some setups. So if you have the system, that could be the easy for us. If you don't have the system, still we can do the coding with the website, third party website, but not recommended for you. Okay. Mm. OS have alternate remote desktop event, but from where you will get this one?
One suggestion, Balu. If you want to install
Yeah.
Swift, we can do it on the Windows directly.
But the problem is only the playground we can use. I mean to say simple console based, because yeah. But what about the iOS development?
That we can't do, but only the Swift
Yeah,
code.
I know. See, that's why I'm saying that programming related things, shift programming related things, yes, we can install the package on the Linux, on Windows, or any machines. But after that, we need a proper. So if you can get this particular setup earlier, that's fine. If you are not able to get the setup, then we can do some alternate things. Okay, I think if you can share that link, actually setup of Shift compiler, that could be easy, but I'm not recommended for that one. Let me find out what was the website. This is an online compiler actually. So here some tool things are there. Please make sure that set up something according to your, I mean to say, whatever the availability is there, according to that one, try to set up, because according to the curriculum, at least I think first 1 week, 2 week, we can spend some time on the Swift itself, all the topics we are going to learn. So in this particular case, we no need Xcode, but try to get the setup of OS X and Xcode basically. Later we can try whatever we need. These are the things. Any questions? You can unmute your systems if you need. If you can unmute your mics if you want any questions, in place of chatting, everyone can understand. No questions?
Yes, sir. Whenever we start iOS designing, so we have to start with auto layout or Swift UI. I need to ask this.
Don't consider anything in the mind, okay? Blindly follow Balu. That's it. Simple. You should become the developer. I know how to make the developer. So see here, without knowing the Swift or without knowing the iOS development, how you will handle Swift UI? Before entering into Swift UI, first of all, we need to know, right, what are the things has to be there. So what is there, we have to identify, then only the Swift UI. And especially me and our team will work closely with the Apple, closely with the Google, closely with the Huawei. I will give some examples also. In order to implement something by the Apple in the GCC country, the first they will propose us to implement that particular feature into our app. For example, in GCC nation, first Apple Pay integrations are done by the Namshi. Myself, I was implemented the Apple Pay. So they don't want to go with this directly versions. So they will contact us and they will give the timeline, they will give the guidance, they will give all the provided information, and we will introduce those features. Siri Kit also we are introduced the first in GCC because we have a close relation with the Apple people. So whenever the Apple want to do something, they will contact us. We are going to develop and we will give a beta release to them. They verified, then they will publish. So in App Store, if you've seen sometimes in the first heading itself, our app will be there because these are the things Apple are going to introduce. And the Google, you can't believe this. Weekly 2-3 days we are going to use a Google team headquarters, which is in the UK and California. The purpose is that you maybe heard that Google is purchase all Firebase applications. Google Analytics moved to the Firebase. Google GA is moved to the Firebase, and the Crash Lighting is moved to the Firebase. So they are testing these all tools. I can't show you the email. Yesterday also we got the email that they are still investigating some bugs. So I think 2 weeks back we roll out the Android with this their own thing, and we are ready to integrate the GTM, Google Tag Manager, from the Google Tag Manager to traditional Google Tag Manager to Firebase Google Tags. So still I'm working. Yesterday night 8 o'clock I was working with these guys to do this stuff. So, and for the Huawei, you can't believe one device in Huawei. You know, Huawei is rollouting their own operating system. Anyone have idea?
Yes, sir.
Due
Well as
due to the due to
stopped
the
his
China
working
and
way.
US trade war, due to the China and US trade war, Google was stopped the services for the Huawei. Then Huawei is introducing their own operating system with the Android flavor. And these guys are sitting in our office every day to make a compatible of their version of app, and they got a new foldable device which is not in the market, which is not released. Actually it's supposed to be released in this month itself, but due to this coronavirus they stopped that release, and that is a foldable device. You can't believe it's an awesome device, like multi-screens functionality which is there in the iPad versions, like simultaneously multiple screens you can do, but here these guys are supporting both together in the single version, in single version. Like especially I'm going to work on these particular high-end people very closely. So don't consider Shift UI is required or Shift is required, because in the last meeting what happened to, I think last month or in the month of January, they said that Shift UI is not at all stable right now. Don't try to entertain that one in your code base because it breaks the things. So whenever the Apple is going to introduce any versions initially, don't enter directly to that version. We have to stay set back and check when it can be the stable versions we'll get. Okay. So my goal was that because in market also, if you consider immediately the development doesn't going to start on the Shift UI because old applications will be there. First of all, Objective C based applications are 80% only converted into Shift. So the first goal is they have to move Objective C to Shift related code, and the second goal, Shift related projects has to be converted into Shift UI. So in our application also, how we will handle, This was implemented few years back in Objective-C. Then what we did actually, from 3.2 version onwards, we started new models in Shift, and in old module one by one we converted into Shift. Right now in our application also 80% code base is a Shift, 10% Objective-C, and another 5% is a React code is there. So like depends on the technologies, the people will move. It's not like that instantly the project will go. For example, if any company, if you consider like TCS is managing multiple mobile apps with Objective-C and they want to migrate into Shift UI, means it's impossible. They have to migrate to Shift UI. Before migrating to Shift UI, they have to migrate to Shift first. That means the trend is like that. Instantly when they introduce something, we are not going to develop that one. It takes time to understand that one. It will go in beyond of that, and we have to do. So my suggestion is that once we done the Shift actually, then we are going to start Shift UI, because you have to compare simultaneously. Okay, this is the way we did in the Shift, and this is the way we are doing in the Shift UI. So once you know A, then only you can think about the B. So without knowing the A, thinking about the B is a disaster, because tomorrow when you are going to work on a project, that project 100% not developed in Shift UI. And if you learn Shift UI, that doesn't make sense that to understand the Shift code. So the way is like that. Okay, if it is Objective-C, still you can understand, because Objective-C is a traditional C and C++ related small talk code. But Shift and Shift UI is different. So old projects are all are maybe on Shift or Objective-C. If you are planning to go in the Shift UI, upcoming modules you can develop in the Shift UI if it is a stable, but the old module still there in the Shift. That means you have to make sure to learn Shift before startup of Shift UI. Punit,
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
got the idea, right? Because it's not like that. Technology is moving in the sense, according to the technology we have to move, but we are far away to reach the technology. So first try to reach the technology, then we can start about the next level.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other questions? No one has a questions? If you don't have the question, means you are not understand anything. If you have the question, means yes, you are. All good?